Hey guys, so Fatutu will be coming in several days time. So in this video, I'll be talking about her kit, and that will be showcased in the end because I do have her in the Chinese account, and yeah, she is really good, and I do recommend that everyone should get her. Okay, so to understand Fatutu's kit, we have to understand her shell, spirit shells. So spirit shell, what happened is that when it is at the start of the turn, instead of the round, the shell will be on Fatutu. There will be 12 stacks of shell on Fatutu, and if the enemy attacks Fatutu, one of this shell will be transferred to the enemy. Alright? And if the enemy attack your party, and if the buff which allows Fatutu to share all the damage received by the party equally among the members, then she will also transfer the shell. Okay, so I'll make it this way. If you have the buff that shares damage between the whole party member, anytime the enemy attack your party, she will transfer a shell. If the enemy uses a mass attack and attack two enemies, she will transfer 2 shells. Alright? And when this shell is on the enemy, they will take damage taken plus 5% and crit damage taken plus 5% only for extra action. So it's something like flutter page. It only buff extra action. Normal attack, ultimate, incantation, and all those will not be buffed. And the maximum stacks will be based on Fatutu's shell. If Fatutu completely distributed her shells, then she cannot distribute any longer. So if you have multiple enemy, probably all of them will have some of these shells. So none of them will actually have 12 shells. But if you're fighting against single target enemy, or after you use her ultimate, then that enemy, which is usually the boss, will have 12 stacks of shells, and that can grant 60% damage taken and crit damage from extra action. However, every time we attack the enemy, Fatutu will retrieve back these shells, right? So let's say if you have 12 stacks and you keep attacking this enemy, the shell will keep depleting. So you won't be able to maintain 60% damage taken all the time, right? So this is usual, like if you are playing normally and you haven't used the ultimate, then you will see the shell moving around. Okay, there is an advantage of having the shell moving around because that's where her healing is from. But before we talk about that, let's talk about her ultimate. Her ultimate is a one target attack and deals 700% mental damage, which is actually pretty high. And it applies all spirit shells, then inflict shell beacon on the target for 2 rounds. Okay, so this spirit shell, now regardless where is it, all of it will be focused onto the enemy once you use the ultimate. And with shell beacon, what it does is that after spirit shell are retrieved from this target, the same number of spirit shell are reapplied to this target. So you hit the enemy once, one spirit shell go back to Fatutu, instantly it will transfer back to the enemy. So it just moves. And during all this movement, it will trigger more follow-up attack from Fatutu. We will talk about that about her insight. But basically, the ultimate main focus or main purpose is to actually zoom in and focus all the shells onto one enemy. So now if you hit the enemy, you will be having that 60% damage taken and 60% crit damage, which is extremely good. However, this debuff only lasts for 2 rounds, and remember, the round that you cast it is 1 round, so it only this round and next round. After that, it's gone. But during the 3rd round, do be assured that because this shell during the 1st round and 2nd round is on the enemy, during the start of the 3rd round is still on the enemy. So now when you attack the enemy, the shell will slowly come back. But you will be doing some attack that you will transfer the shell to the enemy as well. So it takes about a full 3-4 turns before the shell is completely depleted from the enemy. So as long as you are able to reapply her ultimate onto the enemy, then all the stack of the shell will go back to the enemy. So here I recommend if you can maintain the ultimate, like use it every 3 to 4 rounds, you should be fine, and you should be having all the shell on the enemy so you can do the most damage as possible. So I've been saying that the shell moves around, transfer around. So what's the purpose? Alright, so that will be her insight. When entering battle, she gained 8 shells. Okay, there's a 20% chance that when the shells are moving, or when she's applying the shells, so when the shell is moving from her to the enemy, she can get 1 Moxie. 20% chance. So again, if the ultimate is active and there's a spirit beacon on the enemy, so every time you attack, the shell goes back to her and instantly it goes to the enemy, then every time that happens, she has 20% chance to get Moxie. So even though 20% seems low, but it is very frequent, so it is likely that you'll be able to generate 1 to 2 Moxie from her insight. Alright? Making her a rather AP friendly unit. And when she retrieves spirit shells, all allies heals. Okay, so when she gives, there's a chance she can get Moxie. When she retrieves, she heals. And when an enemy dies with spirit shell, the spirit shell basically just goes back to Fatutu. At Insight 3, additionally gain 4 spirit shell after applying or retrieving 7 spirit shell. Cast a rank 1 unmendable cracks on the enemy with the most spirit shells. Alright, so every time you apply and retrieve, if it moves, then you will keep doing follow-up attack. So that is the rank 1 unmendable cracks. And talking about her S1, is a 1 target attack, and it applies 3 spirit shell on the enemy. And while she's doing it, she dispels 1 random, so it's only 1, not all, 1 random step down, negative status, and control from all allies. Okay, so it's party cleanse. And every 7, every time she applies and retrieve, every 7 of them, she will cast this. So it's becoming very frequent that she cleanses the party and apply this 3 spirit shell on that enemy. Which means you want to trigger this as much as possible, but you can't really control because this also depends on how frequent the enemy attack you. So just don't plan, just let it happen, right? If you really need a cleanse, then just use S1 and cleanse. Okay, so basically she automatically casts this and you'll be cleansing very often unless emergency you have 2 debuff that you really want to cleanse, then you have to use her S1 manually. Apart from that, because when you are transferring and giving the spirit shell, you get 20% of chance to get a Moxie. So the whole purpose, if you want to use S1 manually, is mainly to get Moxie faster. And for her buff, when you use it, basically she will grant the party with this shared fate buff, and you have 3 stacks of it. And every time an ally gets hit, that stack will reduce, but the damage that the ally retrieve will be shared among the parties. So if you're fighting an enemy that has a very strong single target attack, Fatutu will be a perfect sustain unit to mitigate that because she distributes the damage to everyone. But if it's against multi-target, then it doesn't really matter because the whole party will be affected by the enemy anyway. So here, the thing is that you can use this buff for mass healing. So how do you do that? Is when an enemy has a lot, when you distribute all the shells to the enemy, like there's over 10 stacks, then you use this buff, it will retrieve all the stacks. So you kind of like reduce the damage that you deal because now all the stack returns, there is no more damage taken bonus, there is no more crit damage bonus. But when she retrieves all these stacks, she heals. And that healing can be like 10,000 heal to the party. So it's massive healing. And you really want to use it, especially when you have the spirit beacon on the boss. Because even when you retrieve them, you instantly distribute it back to the boss. Alright? Triggering her follow-up attack, her healing, while maintaining all the damage taken and crit damage on the enemy. Okay, for her portrait, I don't really recommend that you should get multiple copies because most of it just enhance healing and things like that. If you really want, you can get more spirit shell and you get her P1, where instead of 12, she start with 16. Okay, additional 4 more, right? Because it says when entering battle, additional shells increase to 8. So initially it was 4, now increased to 8. So 8, there's probably like 20% more crit damage and damage taken if all the stacks on the enemy, which is still quite massive. So if you want to have that upgrade, it's okay. But the rest, P2, P3, P4, you don't really need it. It's more of the healing things. And P5 is more damage dealt and crit damage as well. So yeah, but no need to go up to P5, right? P0 is perfect. I've been using her P0 all the time. She will function very well. Her Psychube is actually pretty good. So at level 1, after the carrier perform an extra action, the carrier, of course, Fatutu herself, healing done increased to 4%, stacking up to 3 times. So 12% more healing. And after the carrier receive an attack or distributed damage, I believe if the enemy attack your party, like mass attack and hit 2 or 3 characters at the same time, then you instantly get 3 stacks of this, right? So each stack will give crit damage increased by 1.2% to all the party. So it's a party buff and up to 12 times. So it's about 14-ish%. And if you have it at A5, then you can have up to like 25-ish%, which is actually quite huge, right? It's just that there are so many good Psychube lately, and yeah, having not enough material to actually A5 it, I would say still this would be the best Psychube for her. So you can get it, and you probably just can put it at A1. It will be fine. So for her rotation, I don't really have a fixed one because she gained Moxie quite randomly due to that 20% chance. But basically, as I mentioned just now, you want to use her ulti in 3 to 4 rounds. So you have to see if she already gets some free Moxie, just use S1 and S2 depending on which one is available, just to get her Moxie up to 5. So by the 3rd round or by the 4th round, you can reapply her ultimate. At the start of the game, until her first ulti, she can be quite AP hungry in a way that you still need a full 5 AP. And since the spirit beacon is not on the enemy, like if you pull back your spirit beacon, it doesn't reapply back, so it lowers the chance of getting that free Moxie. So you'll feel like it's taking it a bit long for you to actually set up to the point that you get her ulti and spirit beacon on the enemy. But once you've done that, yeah, maintain it, and it's actually she becomes quite AP friendly that way. For a team comp, I posted the video about Winsong's banner, and if you want to pull for her, so in that video I showcased several short cycle Winsong runs with various team comp, not just the typical Villa and Kakania. Because in the short cycle you need follow-up attack, so you want to bring characters with follow-up attack. Kakania doesn't do that, right? So it becomes quite difficult for you to maintain the short cycle. Basically, it's maintaining Flutter Page Gust stack, so that it's always on, the force field is always at tier 3. But with the addition of Fatutu, replacing Kakania for short cycle, not long cycle. Long cycle you still want to use Kakania, but short cycle you change it. You are using Fatutu. Fatutu is doing follow-up attack, helping to maintain Flutter Page Gust stacks. So this team is really strong, which is why if you really want to pull for Winsong, you should get Fatutu together. And if you have Flutter Page, if you do not have Flutter Page, forget about it, right? Forget about the short cycle, okay? And yeah, you have to be willing enough to maximize Winsong to the point means R15, okay? But yet, this team is not like you got it, it can clear every single content. There is still some content that you cannot clear because it's just not suitable for follow-up attack and things like that. Okay, so that is for the short cycle. With Andronala, a very good combination as well. You want to link Fatutu with Andronala. So if you have Andronala P2, that would be perfect because her damage will be very high when she's linked to a star or mineral unit at P2 rather than P0. Because I know during Andronala's banner there are some people who recommend that you don't need to get Andronala's portrait. But to me, actually getting her up to P2 is very good because now you can link to anyone and she perform like really good. So if you do not have P2, then don't link to Fatutu. Fatutu can still be in the party, no problem. You just have to allocate some AP to set up Fatutu. Then you link to like Mercuria or 6 that does more damage, okay, at P0. But if you have a P2, by all means connect her to Fatutu and your team will receive so much healing, so much follow-up attacks. With Flutter Page behind being your support, this entire team will be doing a lot of damage and very defensive, very good in sustain, okay? Making them like possible in most content, like most of the Reverie, no problem. For support, I would say that if you have Lopera, they are also a very good pairing, although both of them sustain. You can never have too many sustain in Reverie. So both of their buff, debuff, it doesn't clash, right? Lopera provides crit and crit damage. Fatutu provides damage taken and crit damage in the form of a debuff. Lopera is a form of buff, so it doesn't overlap. So they can work perfectly well. And their healing, one is burst party wide healing, one is burst single target healing, so they cover both type of healing, which means it is very unlikely that your party will die, especially with the damage being distributed now. So they will form a very strong team. Not to say that Lopera's follow-up attack will also contribute to some of these shells movement, and if you have Flutter Page, then that team would work as well, the follow-up attack team. And lastly, Jioniangzi, Lilia, or follow-up attacker will benefit very much from Fatutu. Okay. However, the last thing I want to say is just don't be shy to use Fatutu in any of your team, not just follow-up attack. She functions so good as a sustain. You can put her in any team. Okay, even if that team doesn't have follow-up attack. You just lose out on the damage taken and crit damage, but all that healing is still there, right? And you want that, okay? Especially if you do not have Kakania. Alright, so this is a demonstration with Andronala. But here I link to... Okay, I choose this fight because this fight has so many debuff and all the petrifications, so this can showcase very well the cleansing ability of Fatutu. And so here I'll link with Mercuria, and I started off with S1 Fatutu, so everyone share damage. Now the enemy attacking anyone, it will trigger the shell movements. Alright, then I want to get to Fatutu's ultimate, so I'm going to use her as S1. The buff is S2, so S2, S1, then Anjo, and then Mercuria. So here she does the attack, cleanses. Right, and now we attack the enemy. So now the enemy is attacking us. So watch Fatutu's shell. Right, it depletes. It goes to the enemy. It goes to Druvis. So every time Druvis attack, it will keep going to Druvis, and now we do a follow-up attack, and then you'll be taking back from Druvis. Right, so the shell is moving around. Okay. So with that, Fatutu has gotten 1 free Moxie due to the distribution. However, that happens after I get the incantations, so I cannot generate her ultimate. So I'm just gonna attack as usual, and I will get her ultimate next.
Journey to the cosmos.
Okay, so I'm attacking the enemy, taking back some of the shells.
What you doing?
Okay, now we are transferring more shells to the enemy. Alright, so here there's a healing because Fatutu attacked Juvis and take the shell back on Juvis, and that triggered her healing. Okay. Right. So look at all this healing. Because when the enemy dies, she retrieves all the shells, and all the shells come back and boom, all the healings. And look at no issue with petrification, no issue with all that debuff taking off my HP because Fatutu just keep cleansing. And now Mercuria is debuff. I want to cleanse it. So here I'm going to use Anjo's him. Then I will use Fatutu's S1 in order to cleanse Mercuria. And then I will use Mercuria's attack because now she's cleansed. Okay, then finally I use Fatutu's ultimate. Usually I will use Fatutu's ultimate first. But because this is for demonstration, so I'm using it this way and using Fatutu's ultimate at the end. And also because I want to apply the ultimate after Juvis HP restarts. Okay. So now all the shell goes to Juvis. We attack, retrieve shells, heal, goes back to Juvis. Now there's a follow-up attack, heals. So you can see this healing is really constant, really frequent. Probably one of the best healer right now. Okay, so here I'm retrieving all the shells back. I want you to see how much healing. 12,000 healing. 12,000 again, 9,000, 9,000, 12,000. That's a lot of healing. Alright, so I think this battle does showcase very much the entire Fatutu's kit. Her healing capability, her cleansing capability, the damage taken and crit damage and everything, helping Anjo Nala to do more damage. Yeah. Alright, so guys, that's the end of this video. The fight will probably go on. You can still continue to watch it if you want to, or it's already ended anyway. Yeah, so that's the end of the video. I really do recommend, regardless of what composition of your, what character you have in your roster, get Fatutu. Oh wait, there's one more clip. So in this clip, I'm just going to describe it. Basically, what I'm demonstrating here is Anjo Nala doing an attack on the enemy before Fatutu applies Spirit Beacon on enemy, having all the Spirit Shell on the enemy. So the damage Anjo Nala did was about 30,000 to one of the hands, and after I apply, the damage is like 50 over 1,000. So it does shows how much more damage that you will do once all the Spirit Shell is singly on the boss, right? So you can completely watch the video until the end for this demonstration, but basically that's all for this video. So thank you very much for watching and have a good day. So good luck with your Fatutu. For me, I probably just need another 10 to 20 pulls to guarantee her. That's because when I was trying to fish for Baccarola, the 10 pulls I lost to Medicine Pocket in just 10 pulls, so it's totally fine. So I'm guaranteed. And then I threw another 20 or 30 pulls at Baccarola but didn't get her, and my son accidentally just do another 10 pull when I wasn't watching. Luckily he did not get anything. So yeah, I'm 40 pulls in, so I just need probably another 20, a bit ish, 20-ish. I should be guaranteed Fatutu, and I should have enough pull for Liangye. Alright, so thank you very much. Have a good day.
We'll find our home one day. Journey to the cosmos. Feel my soft embrace. Have a little faith in me, Master. Let me be the shepherd